You're listening to Health Coach Conversations, a podcast where our conversations help health coaches all around the world to level up our businesses and to get more clients. Hello and welcome. I am Kathy, the founder of the Health Coach Group, and I am visiting with a licensed pharmacist today, Keith from North Carolina, and the owner of Hersey Pharmacy, located in Durham in the Woodcroft Shopping Center. Keith was born in New York City, but raised in North Carolina. And from the time he was in high school, he's had a passion and desire to help people live healthier lives. After graduating high school, he went on to receive his BS and his doctorate of pharmacy degree with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. For nearly 20 years, he worked as a community pharmacist for Eckerd, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. In 2020, he started his own pharmacy, Hersey Pharmacy. Keith has a wealth of experience and expertise in traditional and functional medicine. As a type 2 diabetic himself, Keith's goals is to reduce or reverse type 2 diabetes with his patients. Keith has recently started a podcast about type 2 diabetes to help increase awareness about the disease. His podcast, Destroying Diabetes, is available wherever you listen to podcasts, and he encourages anyone with type 2 diabetes or has someone in their family with type 2 diabetes to listen and subscribe to this podcast. Keith is married to his college sweetheart, Deborah, and lives in Durham with their son, Jordan, and their rescue dog, Karma. Today, we're going to talk about embarking on a journey to vitality with conquering chronic disease to live a more fulfilling life. This talk delves into the root causes of most chronic illnesses, unveiling insights that empower you to take control of your health, discover 4 actionable ways to mitigate the effects of chronic disease, paving the way for a healthier and more fulfilling life. Whether you are a health practitioner seeking preventative measures for yourself or navigating an existing condition, this talk equips you with the knowledge and tools to transform you or your customers' well-being. Okay, so we're going to talk about chronic illness and coming back from it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and you're a pharmacist.
Yes.
So why are you so interested in chronic diseases?
I'm interested in for several reasons. One is that I am, like they said, I'm not only just, I think I'm a client, I'm a type 2 diabetic for like 20 years. So it's kind of personal for me. So I try to improve, my health so I can be the best person for my business and the best person for my patients and my family. So I've undergone a journey in the last few years, and still it's kind of like, like I always say, it's like a work in progress. And then also another reason is that to just see like working with my patients through the years, not everyone, but a lot of times that it just seems that we're just treating symptoms, and people's medication list gets longer and longer, and then they have to pay more because they're on more medications. Sometimes some of the medications have side effects that's kind of unwanted, and it just doesn't seem like that we're moving people to health. And I just wanted to try to change that, like to move people into a better position of health, even if that means that they can reduce the medications that they're taking. Because I think the big picture is trying to move people to into better health, because they won't be able to live a much healthier, a much more productive life.
Why do you want to get people off medications? You would think as a pharmacist that your job would be to get them all on medication, right?
Oh yeah. That's why I say that's why it's kind of people wonder about that. Well, as I just said before, I think one of the main reasons I got into pharmacy was try to people say, well, try to help people move into healthier realms of life. And like I said, and medication has its place, especially when you're in an acute situation.
Mhm.
But I don't think that being on, medications, if you don't have to be like the rest of your life, is necessarily good. Because, like I said, there's a cost involved, some medications, the side effects involved. So I think like and it should be all the healthcare workers' main goal is to get people into a better place of health and wellness. And I just think in the long term, if you're the less medications that you're on.
So, do you work with people on food and exercise and all of that then and mindset?
Yeah, because we have to to be able to move away from medications. We have to get your health level at a certain point where it's not needed. So kind of like our emphasis is with like increasing movement, physical activity. Food is a huge part of it because as I heard someone say that you can't out exercise a bad diet.
Right.
Even if you could do all the exercise in the world, if your diet is poor, it's not much a thing. I mean, if you had the choice on which to work on better, you get more benefit probably with the diet than even exercise, even though the exercise, has its place and will help you as well. But if you had to choose one, that would be that. So trying to move people into like healthier choices in their diet, like a lot of foods, especially a lot of our plant food has built-in antioxidants that help reduce inflammation, which is kind of like the bad boogie boo of most chronic illnesses. So just like, trying to get away from the standard American diet, which is a lot of source of a lot of our issues today.
If there was one thing that you could have listeners take away from this call, what would it be?
The one thing I would have people take away is that we have so much. One of the downsides of technology now is that we have access to so much information. It's kind of information overload and a lot of conflicting information, just about a whole lot of things. And I think that now, if you want to move to like better health, I think most of the time now that it would benefit you to have some assistance with that, like an expert, like myself, to help get them aware of all the medications and downsides and side effects and help guide a person to like health if they want to really be able to reduce the medication load. And, in some cases some people are able to eliminate it altogether. Just depends on what type of health conditions that they have. You kind of need that now. Like kind of like if your goal is to perform on a high level, whether it's as like become like move up in your company or become like a high caliber athlete, you usually need some kind of coaching. And I think like now with health, especially with so much information out there and so much of it conflicting information, it's kind of hard to sort out. Even I got to sit down and study and kind of sort it out myself. So I think that, you know, if you're someone, like I said, I specialize with type 2 diabetes because it's almost an epidemic now throughout the country. And I myself, being a type 2 diabetic, I'm aware of all the challenges that people face because I've faced them myself. And, just being able to have someone to help guide you through this maze. I think it's a benefit, and if you consider the investment, it's well worth it because if you regain your health, regain your energy, able to reduce the medication load and the side effects, and be able to be more available for your friends and family, you can't put a price tag on that.
Well, and I think too with the cost of healthcare now, having a guide or a coach or, whatever you call yourself is less expensive than what the alternative is anyway. It's not a money thing.
Yes, yes,
Not
yes,
anymore.
yes, yes, definitely, definitely, definitely,
How did
definitely.
you start your own journey? Were you already a pharmacist and your situation changed how you practiced? I know when I introduced you, we talked about you worked for some of like what is it, Eckerd's and
Yeah, yeah,
Walgreens
yes, uh-huh.
and having your own pharmacy, you can do your own thing, right?
Yes,
Within
mhm,
reason.
yes, exactly. Yeah, 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 they wouldn't take too kindly to me trying to get people off of medication
No.
if I could, yeah. But, yeah, like I said, I've had, like, with my own personal journey, like I said, I've been a type 2 diabetic for 20 years, and
20 years.
even I was seeing that just following the same way that, my medication list was getting longer. And like I said, and then, facing some of the unwanted side effects of some of those medications and not not having the energy to be available to my family and, friends and not in the way that I wanted to be. So, I started reading, I started, looking into, alternatives and just finding that following, a better pathway, a pathway of more looking for more like with control of diet and eating like healthier things, more nutrition products and things that will have products that help your health with antioxidants. Because so much of our chronic disease is traced to inflammation, and almost all from heart disease to diabetes to arthritis to all of those high blood pressure, high cholesterol, almost all of those are traced back to chronic inflammation, and being able to reduce that greatly alleviates those medical conditions.
Why aren't more healthcare professionals aware of the link between inflammation and chronic disease?
Because I think because it's not really taught that well in the health sciences, in the medical schools and pharmacy schools and nursing schools. Unfortunately, a lot of our programs, universities get significant amount of money from companies that have traces to the like food industry. So that kind of unfortunately tailors some of the curriculum, and so you're fighting against that, and like I said that because people are not really taught this when they're in school, they usually you have to go outside of that or you'll be influenced by somebody that's outside of that realm or whatever that you're not usually aware. You usually have to go out on your own to learn about it, if you become aware of it. So a lot of people are not even aware of um, the link between inflammation and chronic diseases.
Yeah. When you work with a customer, or do you call them patients since they
Yeah,
come into you? Do you
yes,
work with them directly and do you consult with the doctor or
yes,
how does
yeah.
that work?
So I work with patients directly. Usually, like we will have like a Zoom call to kind of follow up on what they're doing, and then also work with their provider. That's a key, especially if we're talking about being able to reduce or eliminate medications. We have to work kind of hand in hand with their provider and let them know what's going on, and that we need to have n- let them know what processes they're going through. And, if people see, like, the doctor sees, like, if a patient follows, like, the practices with, like, food and stuff, and then they have their next A1C test and their, result is significantly lower, and it's not necessarily due because it's not any changes in their medication, but because of the changes that they made in their lifestyle. That then we can go back to the doctor and say like, they're doing this without medication. So is it possible to, reduce the dosage or even like some cases like eliminate the medication off of their profile? So
You know what? My husband about about 10 years ago, his doctor told him he was pre-diabetic and he had to go on medicine. And he said, "Well, just let me go back home and change a couple of things." He hid candy in his desk drawer and ate candy a lot. And he cut that out, because usually he's a pretty healthy guy. And he
Yeah,
went back, had his labs, and he didn't have to go on the medicine.
yeah,
So I think if you catch it beforehand, it's even better, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Is it a problem now with all of the pharmacies? I mean, like I know a lot of people are getting medicines from you and then they get their insurance companies say buy it online. How can you keep track of what people are taking with that?
That is kind of a challenge. That's one of the things that, hoping that the industry works better and that we have that, that we're able to, share more like databases. And that's always been a challenge because we try to emphasize like patients to go, like if they go to a pharmacy, just to go to one pharmacy and where all
Yeah,
their records are in one place, then rather like if you jump around from pharmacy to pharmacy, there's not like a thing in place where like there's a database that if someone's getting something filled here and another thing filled at Walgreens and something else filled in CVS, I don't have any idea. Like they're, you know, unless something comes up like as an interaction or it flags and that's if someone has insurance. If someone doesn't have insurance, I don't have any way altogether knowing what someone else is taking somewhere else. So that's one of the big challenges. So that's why when I work with a patient that we do a complete like workup, just like everything that you take over the counter, let's get a whole list of everything that you take and start from there.
yeah,
So we try to make sure that we, emphasize that, even if you think it's not significant, any supplement, any vitamin, anything that you're taking, from aspirin or whatever, just need to have that all into one place because then we can, once I can see everything that you're taking, then it's better to develop a plan once I know like everything that you're taking.
so it's a lot safer to stay with one
Yeah.
pharmacist.
Yeah.
And it's especially safer to go to, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but it's especially safer to go to an independent pharmacist, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the
Yeah.
chains that
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
different people working there all the time.
Yeah. Yes. Because I know every single one of my patients, by name because I'm always here. That
Yeah.
it's not like you go to the chain. The pharmacist and the technician may be different from day to day, week to week, and they're just trying to get you in and out of there. They're not really
Yeah.
making that
And
effort to try to know you.
so if one of your patients came in with too large of a dose of something that could be harmful, I mean, more than what they need, would you be able to tell them or the doctors that that's too much?
Yeah, so usually that's one of the things to look out for. If something like that, then I try to alert the provider or whoever wrote the prescription. And a lot of people are receptive to it, and they're glad that sometimes they may not be aware, or sometimes, like I said, sometimes they may not have a complete medication history on the patient because they're, maybe relying on the patient just telling them what they're taking. They might have forgotten or that they've taken a certain medication or something like that. And that something may interfere with something that they're prescribing, but they don't, they're not aware of it or whatever. They're not aware. So a lot of times when I do that, most people, appreciate it. We have some people that don't, they're like, well, I wrote it. What are you trying to tell me how to write or whatever? I know what I'm doing, but thankfully, most people are pretty receptive to it. So
Yeah. What is one actionable step that you would advise someone to start today?
I think the most actionable step is that if you do nothing else, if you want to look and then rather what your diet is that if you can find a way to incorporate more vegetables and water, if you don't do anything else, that will like,
Vegetables and water, green
yeah,
stuff and water, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
If you
Do
don't
you
do any
advocate
greens.
plant-based eating then?
Well, I think that that will depend on, on the person. I mean, but I think that definitely, regardless, even if you do eat meat, that incorporating more vegetables in your diet, whether you want to go total plant based or want to incorporate more, that I just think the benefits of plant based is so much. It's just in the data now. I'm glad that there's more studies looking at that and just the benefits of that, especially when you talk about chronic illness, is uncanny. Like I said, even if you do like eat meat, just being able to incorporate more vegetables and more water. If you're someone that drinks soda, or you drink like fruit juice, or just like being able to substitute some of that, or even if you don't get rid of it altogether, but if you drink less of that and more water, that also, because water is such a benefit, it helps flush your system of some of the toxins that can cause the inflammation. It's just healthier on your body and healthier to keep hydrated, especially as we move into the warm, spring and summer months. It's even more important. So,
Yeah, that's good advice. I think that the more healthy foods you eat, the more you can tell what is causing you a problem with inflammation too.
mm, yeah, yeah,
You feel bad, don't you?
yeah.
So you have a book, an ebook,
Yes,
diabetes professional ebook, is that right?
yes, yes.
And if they go to your website, it's destroyed. Oh, it's Samcart. Okay. So
Mm,
we have a link for that, and we'll put that underneath the
okay,
podcast.
okay.
And
Thank you.
then we have your website, and that will be there too. Thank you so much for being here today.
All
You're
right.
doing
Thank
great
thank
work.
you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the show. If you liked what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating or review on iTunes.